Yeah, no, I think this is something that I've applied to virtually everything that I've done in life so far, which is try to find a system that works in the best possible way so that I can achieve whatever I want to at a high level. And I think in the case of trading, it was a slow series of steps. I mean, I started in 2020, primarily doing on-chain stuff. So did a lot of on-chain. I was one of the first people to buy SafeMoon, actually. That coin went absolutely crazy. And then sort of like evolved from there where I ended up adapting to the market as things started to play out. So during 2021, especially, things went absolutely crazy. I mean, even the most dog shit of, vaporware just was going up like crazy. So for a while, I was playing all those narratives and then was rotating between them. And of course, I mean, I learned a lot of lessons in between. Ended up like round tripping a decent amount of profits on certain coins and really internalized a lot of lessons from there. But ultimately, I think what helped me was adapting quickly and recognizing exactly where each mistake was and being very retrospective about it and like thinking about, okay, so like what exactly happened and how can I adapt better because of that? And I think slowly over time, that enabled me to catch increasing amounts of moves while also, saving myself from a lot of mistakes. And so I adapted a lot. So in 2022, especially during the bear market, I had a realization that, this entire, the entirety of the 2 years in 2020 and 2021, those were sort of aided by, the 0% interest rates and all the sort of economic conditions that like benefited. So that's when I shifted. So I actually realized that I couldn't approach trading in the same way I did prior. So I started shorting. So I ended up picking a lot of futures trading, where I started shorting the market a lot during that period of time. I noticed that in previous bear markets, altcoins were the ones that fell the most, just simply because, they're on the sort of higher end of the risk curve, farther out in the risk curve. So people are more likely to sell that than their Bitcoin, obviously. So started shorting a lot of them and was actually on quite a few different podcasts and different sort of events, like speaking events, basically telling people, yeah, like you should short your crypto. Was pretty widely hated at that, like for certain periods of time, but ultimately succeeded in doing that. And ended up growing my portfolio tremendously during that year in 2022, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And then sort of built on that. And I think a lot of my system now involves being very objective. So I think that's the main thing that my trading and in general in life too is generally I'm a truth seeker. So I try to seek the truth, the ugly truths in people and things and things that I'm pursuing. And I started to realize that oftentimes these are truths that people did not want to confront. But ultimately they're, to benefit in the best possible way, I wanted to be objective about my analysis. So I only use very simplistic sort of methods for trading. I really just use, market structure. I use support and resistance. And these are qualities that are objective and they're not too complicated for most people to understand. But these helped me a lot in trading and ended up, yielding me the best possible results while understanding that, like a lot of events like, like the inauguration seem to be very bullish events in the moments, but basic, elements of human psychology. And one of the elements of my system is that oftentimes whenever there's, buying into an event, there's oftentimes, selling afterwards. So like buy the rumor, sell the news sort of stuff. And that's another sort of core tenet of my system. But yeah, that's kind of like what I've, been up to.